What is up, you guys? I'm back here with another true crime video, and today I'm talking about the case of Marjorie West. Marjorie's case is one of the oldest unsolved cases recorded by the National Database for Missing and Exploited Children. And she went missing about 4 decades before the whole stranger danger epidemic hit the country. Her father's name was Shirley, her mother's name was Cecilia, her older sister's name was Dorothea, and her younger brother's name was Alan. Marjorie was born on June 2nd, 1933 in McLean County, Pennsylvania. On the morning of May 8th, 1938, Marjorie and her family attended church. This was also Mother's Day, so they decided to take a picnic in a white gravel area just about a 45-minute drive away from their hometown. Now, after they had their picnic, Cecilia wanted to go back to the car just to rest and take a break from all the craziness that had been going on. Marjorie and Dorothea decided that they were going to go pick wildflowers for their mother. And while they were doing this, her father and her father's friend were getting ready to go fishing. Dorothea recalled that they were told to stay away from a giant rock or a boulder because her father had checked it out and was suspicious of rattlesnakes. At approximately 3 p.m., Dorothea went to see their mother, Cecilia, talk to her and to give her the wildflowers. She had thought Marjorie was right behind her, but when she realized she was gone, she went back. Marjorie was never to be seen or heard from again. After a quick search by family members and friends, her mother drove over to the nearest telephone, which was about 7 miles away, to call the nearest police station, which was in Kane, Pennsylvania. Witnesses reported there were 3 vehicles driving by during the time of Marjorie's disappearance, and one of these vehicles was never ruled out like the other 2 were. And with this vehicle was a dark green sedan, and it was driving so fast that it caused another car to drive into a ditch. At first, they believed Marjorie had just simply wandered into the woods and she would either turn up or would be found by searchers. And this case was so publicized by the family, they had hundreds and thousands of people searching for Marjorie during the next few days because they believed that she had just wandered into the woods and that she would be found. They were also worried that if she would be left out too long, she would die of exposure. Now, searchers thought they found something when they saw an area that was freshly dug up, and they believed it looked like a grave. And after further investigation of this was just a gravesite of an animal and was not Marjorie. A piece of lace was also found, and searchers believed to be Marjorie's, but her family said no, that lace was not on the dress that she was wearing that day, and that could not belong to her. Now, the rock that they were warned to stay away from, her bouquet of flowers, were actually found there, and they were crushed. So somebody had deliberately stomped on them. On that Sunday afternoon, after police failed to find Marjorie, 200 men joined in for the search for Marjorie, and that lasted until about 1 a.m. when rain started coming down on them, so they called off the search for the night. Now, Monday morning, 500 more people showed up to search for Marjorie, and they searched an area that expanded to be about 4 square miles, and they still had no luck to find Marjorie. Police also investigated motorists, and that search expanded about 300 square miles. On Tuesday, May 10th, police brought in bloodhounds from New York. Now, there were 2 separate accounts of what the bloodhounds found. One of those accounts was the bloodhounds found her scent and followed it to a cabin, which the door was nailed shut, and after search of the cabin, they did not find anything. Another account was the bloodhounds found Marjorie's scent as well and followed it to a road and then stopped. On Wednesday afternoon, Bradford's mayor pleaded for 1,000 people to show up to help search for Marjorie, and instead of 1,000, 2,500 people showed up to search for Marjorie. The search was praised because it was very organized, and many people believe that was because of Shirley and his experience in the military. He did fight in the Great War. By the end of the week, the search had covered 35 square miles, yet Marjorie was nowhere to be found. Shirley would not leave the forest. He only left one time because he was forced to, and all he did was he returned home for his evening meal and went back out to search for his daughter. Now, Cecilia stayed at home so she would never miss a phone call if somehow Marjorie got a hold of a phone, or if people had called in for tips, she would be there. So they pretty much did it right. Shirley was out looking for his daughter while Cecilia stayed home so she would never miss a call. Now, on May 13th, 1938, the police commissioner wondered if if Marjorie's disappearance had to do with her game of hide and seek. Now he figured that she would just go and hide and everyone would look for her and it went wrong. Maybe she got lost in the woods or somebody had taken her, but that's what he believed that it could have been from the game hide and seek that she loved to play. Also, a detail of 4 police officers searched the area for 5 months. Newspapers believe that there was a link between Marjorie's disappearance and 2 disappearances in 1910 of 2 boys that happened within hours of each other, just a few miles from where Marjorie disappeared. I believe one was about 11 miles away and the other one was about 19 miles away. But as of right now, there have not been any confirmed evidence saying that those cases are linked with Marjorie's case. Many people believe that if Marjorie was kidnapped, it was for profit, because during the Great Depression, a lot of children were kidnapped and were sold for profit for rich couples who could not have their own children. A lot of things that changed about this case from previous cases in the past were the use of automobiles, and people feared that now cars were more available, that it would cause more abductions and kids being kidnapped from out of state and brought into another state, and they were not wrong about that. Child abduction cases did go up with the introduction of automobiles. As national attention focused more on Hitler and the suffering of the US economy, Marjorie's case was only still covered in western Pennsylvania. Case continued on and off for the next 6 years. As tips came and went, they focused on every tip they could, but nothing came and they were not able to find Marjorie. Family members say that Marjorie's closest relatives went to the grave believing that she was kidnapped and that she was still alive. Now, a taxi driver in Thomas, West Virginia, the night that Marjorie disappeared, said that he saw a man carrying a weeping daughter, and the man had asked him where the closest motel was, and then came back and then asked him where he could get a drink, and then he pointed him into a direction of the closest bar. This took place at 11:38 p.m. on the night of the disappearance. The taxi driver identified Marjorie as the little girl wrapped up in the blanket the night of the sighting. He was also believed to be seen again the next day at a gas station refueling. A gas station attendant said that he saw what looked like a girl wrapped up in a blanket in the backseat of a car. Now, the place where Marjorie disappeared in Thomas, West Virginia, police found out that it's about an 8-hour drive, and so Marjorie disappeared at around 3 p.m. so her arrival in Thomas, West Virginia would be around 11:30. And so this did match up with the time of her disappearance. She would have been able to beat that girl in the car. In October of 1938, Pennsylvania State Police were able to track down a man who was believed to be the man who the taxi driver and the gas station attendant saw the night Marjorie's disappearance. The man said that he was traveling back from Parsons, West Virginia with his 5-year-old daughter Lois, and that it had gotten very late, and so instead of continuing driving, they stopped at a hotel for the night and then left early the next morning. And census record from 1940 did show that he had a daughter around 8 of 1940, so she could have been 5 at the time of 1938. One man thinks he holds the answer to what happened to Marjorie West, and this man's name is Heck Bud Beck. And he self-published a book saying that he found Marjorie. Now, he worked in a bar and he had heard the story of a little girl who went missing in 1938 and they could not find her, and he became very fascinated with this story and decided that he would find Marjorie. In the 1990s, with the newly available internet, he posted a $10,000 reward for information that would lead up to finding Marjorie. Bud then traveled across the South, checking out different tips that he was given. While he was in South Carolina, he met a nurse who was claiming to be Marjorie, and she told him she would tell him the story as long as he promised to keep it secret. Beck said that Marjorie was indeed the little girl that was seen in West Virginia the night of her disappearance, and the man who had her was taking her to South Carolina. The man, she says, took him was a temporary oil worker, and he was up in Pennsylvania the whole winter, which I find kind of odd, and that he was returning back home to South Carolina on the day that Marjorie was taken, and he claimed that he had hit Marjorie, and so he picked her up, take her to the hospital, and on the way to the hospital, she woke up, and so he decided to keep her, which sounds a little suspicious. Now, the reason she said that this man took her home was because they had just lost a child. I don't know if it was a child who had an accident or if she miscarried or something, but his wife was grieving, so he basically brought this little girl home to as his wife. This woman who claimed to be Marjorie said that her mother never told her who she was until she was on her deathbed. Beck now claims that this woman has since passed away, and he to this day believes that he did talk to Marjorie, even though Marjorie's surviving relatives do not believe that this was actually Marjorie. This is a crazy case. There's a lot of different theories of what could have happened. If you think that nurse is Marjorie, let me know in the comment section below. If you think that's not Marjorie, if you think something else happened to her, leave any theories that you might have down in the comment section below. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and hit the notification down below, and I'll see you in the next video.